The following videos were originally released in 2009 and do not necessarily express the current views and attitude of the uploader. Also, I split this topic into two videos because there is no way I could commit our computer to rendering one titanically long video.
Hello, this is Pizza Dude Man with another SSB4 character moveset video. Today we're going to look at Olimar, which I find that pretty funny actually. How come Captain Falcon is called Captain Falcon, but Captain Olimar is just called Olimar? Well, whatever. This character was suggested by the nerd OOOZ. So, let's take a look. Now, Captain Olimar was another surprise character when he was introduced. I was particularly pleased with it because it was the first time where a miscellaneous character had been added that wasn't an old NES character. And it is nice to see representations of newer franchises on the Nintendo systems. To Captain Olimar's credit, he's a very, very unique character, using a completely original fighting style we don't see out of any other character in the game, as well as being a very good character in general, with focus on damage racking. Even though his moves can get a little bit spammy at times, they're not without his drawback. He needs Pikmin to perform his moves or he can't attack at all. Or not very much anyway. On top of that, his recovery game leaves a lot to be desired, so he's a pretty fair and balanced character all in all. I would just make one change to one of his moves, and that's to his down B, the Pikmin order, because right now, it's not a very useful move. All I would do is make the move work in a more specific pattern, so it's more useful to the intent that it's used for. Basically, if you just press down B, the Pikmin will order up red, yellow, blue, purple, white. Then if you press down B again, then it'll switch to the yellow in front with the red behind, and then the blue, and then the purple, and then the white, and so on and so forth, so that you can pick your Pikmin for whatever situation you need them for. And because of that, the move would be a lot faster as well. However, if you use his B move, the Pikmin Pluck, the order resets. So that's about all the changes I made to Captain Olimar. Maybe just a very slightly higher double jump, but that's it. So tune in next time for another character.
My name's Echo, and we're going to be looking at the moveset for Fox.
Do a barrel roll!
Yes, Fox. Now, I have to say this video is probably not going to be too long, because I actually didn't make very many changes to Fox. Spiced him up a bit, but not major changes. This is probably because Nintendo pretty much made up Fox's moveset anyway. I mean, Super Smash Bros. Was the first display of Fox having any physical capabilities outside of his R-Wing. So they did a pretty good job of making up moves for Fox, but they made Falco and Wolf a little too much like that, so while I changed them up, I kept Fox's originality. I think his A moves and his fighting style are fine and suit him well, and I also didn't really change his side B or up B. Those are traditional, and they work fine for him. However, I did change Fox's B and down B with some of the new technology introduced in Star Fox Assault. Now, Star Fox Assault did a really nice job in introducing all new weapons and technologies for the Star Fox team to use outside of their vehicles. I'd like to use some of these technologies and weapons as part of their movesets, so for that reason I gave Falco and Wolf completely different guns apart from the blaster, making Fox the only one to use a blaster. Because of this, I decided just to combine all three of the blasters from Brawl into one super blaster that only Fox uses. You can rapid fire with it but do no knockback or stun. You can charge it up a little bit and rapid fire Falco's blasts from Brawl, which stun opponents, or you can charge it up all the way and fire big shots like Wolf's blasts, only they have a little more range than Wolf shots used to have. Now, because I was introducing all of this new Star Fox technology, I wanted to make sure that Fox himself got at least one completely new attack. So, while Falco keeps the traditional reflector, Fox's down B is, from Star Fox Assault, the Barrier Sphere. So here it is, and here's how it works. Fox throws it down, and this shield surrounds him. Then what happens is, Fox is allowed to freely move out of it as he pleases and attack. However, he's the only one who can enter it. Any other character is stopped and all attacks are. Eventually, though, the barrier will disappear and there's a cooldown time before Fox is allowed to deploy another one. While it's up, though, it blocks all attacks. This just leaves us with Fox's final smash, the Landmaster. Now, I don't have a problem with the Landmaster, it's a fine move, but there was one problem with the Landmaster in Brawl, and I think Brawl Taunts 3 explains it best.
Landmaster!
Landmaster!
Landmaster! Are you shitting me?
This was probably the only thing in Brawl that really peeved me off. I thought the character selections were good, and I thought most of the movesets were fine too. But why did they give all the Star Fox characters a tank? That doesn't even make sense. So because of that, Fox is now the only one to use the tank, which should have always been the case. Because of that, like the blasters, I made Fox's tank have better flying capabilities. Not as good as Falco's, but certainly improved.
Well, personally, he prefers the air.
And that concludes Fox's moveset. Tune in next time and we'll talk about another character moveset. Hey, this is Pizza Dude Man. We got another SSB4 character moveset, and this time it is of Falco, suggested by Phoenix Star 5000. Now, when it comes to Falco's A moveset, I'm already pretty pleased, I guess. They actually put forth quite a bit of effort to make sure that not all of Falco and Fox's moves were the exact same between Melee and Brawl. I mainly want to focus on the special moves, because that's where I made a lot of changes between Fox, Falco, and Wolf, making sure that their special moves were very distinctly different. With that, let's look at Falco's new B move. The Sniper Rifle, Falco's affinity weapon from Star Fox Assault. He can't fire the weapon at a rapid rate. However, the shots are quick, have good power, and fly across the entire stage, in a beam form, of course. One other thing to mention then is that when Falco does his throw moves, unlike Fox now who does the 3 blaster shots, Falco will just do 1 sniper shot. As for Falco's side B, it's still the Falco Phantasm, but it works a little differently. I gave Falco a new up B, so Falco's Falco Phantasm still works about the same way, only instead of Fox who just runs at the opponent after doing this kind of charge-up motion, Falco does the traditional fire charge-up motion and then blasts forward, still in a blur, but he's encased in a mini fireball as if he was using the old Firebird attack. So while he isn't as fast and doesn't go as far as Fox does, his version, Falco Phantasm, does more damage, as he's encased in fire and blasts opponents upon using the move. And so then, here's Falco's up B. Also from Star Fox Assault, the Booster Pack. This one works in an interesting way. By pressing up B, Falco gains the Booster Pack. However, unlike Rob or Mega Man's up B, it doesn't automatically boost him up. You have to use your jump buttons like normal, but his 2 jumps instead get replaced by 1 big jump that you can just hold down and go up and down as you please. The move lasts for a pretty good amount of time, but then it needs a few seconds to recharge. Activation of the move also has slight launch resistance. As one last side note, while Falco has his jetpack out, he'll aim his sniper rifle down and shoot downward. Falco's a bird. He should have a pretty good up B. So now let's talk about Falco's down B, the Reflector. It still works about the same way as it does in Brawl. The only thing is, before kicking it and after kicking it, there's just a slight moment where he holds it. Like, he just holds it for a sec, kicks it, brings it back, holds it, and then it goes away. It's not even a second long. And then Falco's final smash is the R-Wing. I guess this is kind of like the flying version of Fox's Landmaster tank, but the R-Wing is much faster. However, the R-Wing doesn't stop moving. Even if you're not pressing any button, it will hover forward at a slow pace. Pressing any direction will make the R-Wing fly in that direction, and pressing the A button will allow you to shoot its lasers, which are weaker but much faster than the Landmaster tank lasers. Opponents can land on your R-Wing like the tank, and like the tank, you can fly them away to kill them. And of course, the R-Wing has the power to do a barrel roll. And so that's it for Falco's moveset. Tune in next time for another character. Hey, this is Pizza Dude Man. Now we're going to look at the moveset of Wolf, suggested by Sinister Blade 345. When it comes to Wolf as a character, he's already pretty good. In fact, his biggest problem was being able to be chain grabbed really easily by D2D's chain grab, but since I already got rid of that problem, his only other problems are his terrible recovery and his low amount of killing power, so I just give him a couple of small buff-ups. Like giving his smash moves a little more knockback, making his running speed slightly faster, and I improved his up B, which we'll talk about later. Wolf's A moves are already pretty good. They're a lot different from Fox and Falco's, so I'll just move on to his special moves, starting with his B move. Like Falco, I completely replaced it to a new gun. Wolf's B move is now the machine gun, his affinity weapon from Star Fox Assault. Just by holding down B, Wolf will rapid fire with it, and you can change his direction as he's shooting it like he was holding a shooter item. However, he still can't move while using it, and it has a very short range, though it can rack up damage pretty well. His side B is now the Sensor Bomb from Star Fox Assault. Wolf plants one of these into the ground, and although it doesn't do as much damage as the Motion Sensor Bomb, the Sensor Bomb has a wider range, so opponents only have to be within its blast radius before it sets off. Wolf can have 2 of these out at a time. As for Wolf's up B, it's kind of like a combination between his side B and his up B from Brawl. He charges up for a second, and then you choose a direction, and it'll go really, really fast in that direction in a combo tackle that ends with a kick. The move goes further than either the Wolf Flash or the Fire Wolf, though, from Brawl, to help make Wolf's recovery game better. Also, the move is called Wolf Flash, because there's no fire in it whatsoever, and there never was. So I don't know why they ever called it Fire Wolf. And as for Wolf's Reflector, that's still the same. Unlike Falco's Reflector, he can't throw it at his opponents to do damage, but he can hold his down and constantly reflect items, sending them back at twice the speed and power, like in Brawl. And Wolf's final smash is the Wolfen. This one works a lot like Falco's R-Wing. However, the Wolfen is faster, more maneuverable, and has faster lasers, which can all either be advantages or disadvantages. Besides that, the one key difference is that the Wolfen does not have the ability to... So that's it for Star Wolf and all of the Star Fox characters. Tune in next time for another character.
Hey, this is Pot, or Prince of Tennis, and we'll be going over the moveset of Pikachu.
Alright, the moveset of Pikachu. Well, this is another character I didn't make a lot of changes to. I guess he's already pretty good. I mean, his fighting style is already unique and suits him well, using a wide variety of electric usage as well as using tail attacks and headbutts. Although his B moves and his down B moves can get a little spammy at times, they're good and they're versatile. On his up B though, that's an interesting topic. In the original Smash Brothers, it didn't do any damage, in Melee it did a little bit of damage, and then in Brawl it did a little bit of damage in stun. So I guess I'd go ahead and progress it up a bit and also add a very tiny amount of knockback. I mean, it is Pikachu running into you with a quick attack after all. However, for the sake of giving Pikachu a new attack, I did replace his side B. I guess this is because I feel that there's more fitting things for Pikachu than Skull Bash, especially since Super Smash Bros. Is the only media in which Pikachu ever uses Skull Bash. He can't learn it in the games, and I don't think I've ever seen him use it in the show either. So this is what I replaced Pikachu's Skull Bash with.
Iron Tail!
Yeah, Iron Tail. It's a newer move that's associated with Pikachu, but it is a move that's associated with Pikachu, especially in the anime. I imagine that in this, it would charge the same as Pikachu's Skull Bash attack, only instead of flying directly forward at the opponent's head first, he does a motion like this. And he would rapidly spin into his opponents with a glowing tail, smashing them downward for good meteor strikes and doing a moderate amount of damage. Also, for the sake of versatility, Pikachu would have the ability to, while charging, change the trajectory of which he launches himself, allowing himself to arc himself if he so pleases. So that's really it for Pikachu. His final smash, the Volt Tackle, is fine. The only thing I'd do is make it a little more maneuverable, so it's a little easier to control, but still hard. And that's it for Pikachu's moveset. Tune in next time and we'll talk about another character.
This is Storm, and we're going to be talking about Pokemon training, because, yeah.
Ah yes, the Pokemon Trainer. Well, I have to say I didn't make very many changes to him. You see, I changed a lot of the older characters to spice him up and keep him updated, since this would be the 4th installment in Smash series. But Brawl, most of the characters are already pretty fresh and they don't need a lot of new moves. So, Pokemon Trainer is, a lot of it's the same. However, I did make a couple of differences because of one thing. A lot of people have talked about adding a rival Pokemon Trainer to have different starters that correspond with the Pokemon Trainer in Brawl. However, I think that's a little repetitive, and I'd rather just see this. Alternate costumes that give the Pokemon Trainer the Johto, Hoenn, and Sinnoh starters. The changes would be entirely cosmetic, giving no new moves between the Pokemon, but that means that we have to change some of the moves that the Pokemon have. For instance, I had to change Squirtle's Side B, since none of the other water starters can use Withdraw. Instead, Squirtle's Side B would be Surf, which would work probably about the same way that Piplup uses it as a Pokeball Pokemon in Brawl. I also had to do some changes to Charizard since none of the other fire starters can fly. So because of this, Charizard can't glide anymore, but his running animation will still be gliding. To compensate for this, Charizard and all the other fire starters will have increased jumping capabilities than Charizard had in Brawl. And then I also changed Charizard's up B, Fly. It still looks the exact same, but instead of Fly, it's called Fire Spin. It also has the additional effect that, if you use it on an opponent, they get entrapped in a mini vortex of flames that does a little bit of rapid damage to them for a short while. Kinda like a PK Fire. So besides all that, I didn't make any changes to the Pokemon Trainer. I think the attacks are all fine, the specials, the final smash, it's all good. So that's it for the Pokemon Trainer. Tune in next time and we'll talk about another character from the roster. Hey, this is Pizza Dude Man. Coming right off my King Dedede video, we have the moveset of Jigglypuff! This marks being halfway done with the character moveset videos. Hooray! So, Jigglypuff is a character that needed massive buff up. Now, Jigglypuff is an extreme character and needs to be played as such. Its theme is totally about fighting in the air. But even so, there are just some things about Jigglypuff that are stupid. It is so lightweight that if its shield is broken, it will die. Jigglypuff just needs a little bit more weight, at least enough to sustain itself. Now, when it comes to Jigglypuff's fighting style, it's fine. It works well for her, it fits her, and it works good in terms for fighting opponents in the air. On top of that, it includes some of the best throw moves in the game. However, when it comes to Jigglypuff's special moves, the only one I'm really pleased with is the Rollout, which is very versatile and can be used extremely well. I pumped up all of her other moves, however. Her up B, the Sing, needed some improvement, for example. Kind of like how they gave Yoshi's up B slight upward motion, I would give this slight upward motion while she's using it. Maybe even make her float a tiny bit while she's singing. But only when she uses the move in the air. I would also make it so that her Sing attacks leaves opponents asleep for a longer time, so that if you use it right at the beginning, opponents won't wake up at the end of the song. Now, I actually had a cool idea for improving Jigglypuff's side B, Pound. I instead replaced it with Double Slap, and so last we have Jigglypuff's down B move, Rest, which is stupid. I mean, why does falling asleep make opponents explode?
The instant it falls asleep, there's a huge buildup of energy in its center of gravity.
What?
Okay, fine, at least it's an explanation, so I'll work with it. But I want to make it a little more like the actual rest from the Pokemon games. So, between Melee and Brawl, they actually made it easier to use, but instead of knocking opponents out always, your opponents would grow a flower on their head. So I would change it once again. It's easier to use, it doesn't always knock out your opponents, but instead of making your opponents grow a flower on their head, you heal a little bit of HP. I think Jigglypuff can be a really cool character. It has great potential as an air fighter, and its final smash, I think, is really, really cool. It's one of my favorite final smashes. So, that's it for Jigglypuff's moveset. Tune in next time for another character.
Hi, I'm the Dark 342, and today we'll be looking at the moveset for Lucario.
Well, it's time for Lucario's moveset, and I think I made some significant changes. When it comes to Lucario's fighting style and A moves, he's very unique and it suits him very well. However, I think they took away too much of the fighting aspect of Lucario, which I'd want to introduce. What I mean is, while he can still burn opponents at a distance with his aura, he can deal more knockback to the opponent by getting in close and directly punching and kicking the opponent. That way, while still using his unique aura ability, he's a little more representative of fighting Pokemon in general. With Lucario's special moves, I'm going to say right now that I already really like Aura Sphere and Double Team the way they are. I don't think those need any changes. And with his side B, the Force Palm, all I would do is give it more knockback in general, in both the normal aspect of using it and the throw. So the only one of Lucario's special moves I changed was his up B, the Extreme Speed, because I thought it was a little weird that it didn't do any damage. It does pretty good damage in the actual games. My favorite portrayal of Extreme Speed is right here in the Game Boy games, where it looks like you're going so fast that your opponent can't even see you while you're hitting them. And so I would make Lucario's Extreme Speed represent that, basically making it look like he's instantaneously teleporting, and anyone in the path of his teleportation route gets rapidly hit with weak combo damage. Of course, though, the move would have a slight charge-up animation so that it can't be spammed. So last is Lucario's Aura Storm, which you begin to realize is actually really easy to dodge. For that reason, I'd make Lucario be able to move just slightly faster in the air while using it. And that's it for Lucario's moveset. Tune in next time for another character.
Hello, this is Alfred Katarkus, and I'd like to show you the moveset of Marth.
So it looks like it's time to talk about Marth's moveset. This could quite possibly be the shortest video I have. I mean, seriously, there's not much to say about Marth at all. He's already one of the best and most versatile characters in Brawl, and he knows some of the best moves in the game. On top of that, when it comes to representing his powers from the actual Fire Emblem series, they literally took almost nothing and turned it into a full moveset. I mean, here's pretty much the extent of Marth's abilities in Fire Emblem games. And they turned that into a very, very good moveset. So the only things I'd change would be to improve him a little bit to make sure he still stays as one of the best characters. This would just involve making his attack combo speed what it was in Melee, and also improving the power of his up B, the Dolphin Slash, even more. And, that's it for Marth's moveset. Tune in next time for another character. Hey, this is Pizza Dude Man with another character moveset video. Now, we're gonna look at Ike, suggested by Smoshma. Now, Ike is another character with a really impressive moveset. Almost all of his moves have some kind of a basis from Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, and some of the references are used quite cleverly, especially in his special moves. However, Ike as a character does have a problem here in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and it's actually a problem that's opposite of Ganondorf's. While Ike has a nice moveset that are based off of his attacks from the game, his fighting style just doesn't fit him. What I mean is, Ike is a very slow character in Brawl. Slow running speed, slow attack speed, and slow recovery speed after using an attack, as well as for charging up an attack. And why? In both Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, Ike is portrayed as a very fast character. In fact, his speed is the thing that levels up the best in Path of Radiance. So why did they slow him down so much? My guess is that, for some reason, they decided to make him so powerful. I know Ike is supposed to be strong, but in this game, he's actually out-prioritizing Bowser, King Dedede, and Ganondorf. Why? I say, let the big monstrous villains have their power but be slow characters, and let Ike the Swordsman have quick attacks with a long-range sword and medium strength, maybe a little above average, but not too much. Besides that, I think Ike's moveset is fine. He just needs a better style, so, that's it! Tune in next time for another character. Hey, this is Pizza Dude Man. Now we'll be looking at Lucas, as suggested by Sinister Blade 345. Now, in Brawl, both Lucas and Ness are very lowly ranked, and I think it's for the same reason. They're trying too much to make Lucas and Ness different, which just isn't possible. They're not even using their own powers from Earthbound games. They're already borrowing powers from their partners in Earthbound and Mother 3, and now they're sharing the moves that they're borrowing from other people. It just doesn't work. There's not enough move diversity here. So, I fully stand on the idea that we can only have either Ness or Lucas, and I fully stand on my decision to choose Lucas on the basis that Mother 3 is both the newest Mother game and on the basis that Lucas is like Ness but better. That's just my opinion, but I'll stick with it. So for a lot of Lucas's changes, all I did was combine the best of both Ness and Lucas and put them together. Now before I address that, I'm just going to address a few other of Lucas's smaller problems. His aerial attacks are rather weak, so I decided to pump them up a little bit. And actually, the biggest problem with Lucas and Ness is for some reason they have a longer lag when being thrown than any other characters in the game, which makes them more susceptible to chain grabbing. I don't know why that's the case, but I would obviously get rid of that. But as for Lucas's basic fighting style and A moves, those are all pretty good. He kicks, as a reference to Duster, as well as using the rope snake as a reference to Duster, and also his A move is mainly compromised of using hexagons that are derived from his PK Love attack, which I thought was pretty interesting. He also uses his stick, of course, his main weapon in Mother 3, so overall I think it's a nice, diverse A moveset that can be quite powerful. However, I pumped up all of the problems and shortcomings of his special moves. The PK Freeze attack, for instance, is already really good, but would actually be much more effective if it didn't deliver any knockback to the opponent, just freezing them in place instantly. So that's how I would change PK Freeze. The PK Fire is actually a little better on Lucas already, with the ability to perform special recovery moves and advanced techniques that only Lucas can perform. However, Ness has had some special properties, and, well, since we don't have Ness around here anymore, I thought I'd go ahead and give him to Lucas. So in addition to blasting his PK Fire forward in a powerful blast that can hit multiple people, the flames stay for a long time and burn the opponents in a wave, in a multiple string wave that rapidly burns opponents for powerful damage, which is kind of like how it's actually used in all of the Mother games. So it's a much better representation of PK Fire in general. For PK Thunder, they made it so Ness's was like faster, more maneuverable, and did more damage, but Lucas's could pass through people multiple times so that it couldn't get disrupted as a recovery move. So, of course now, I have both. Lucas's PK Thunder is powerful, fast, maneuverable, and can strike multiple times. And PSI Magnet's actually really interesting. On every possible account, Lucas's PSI Magnet is actually superior to Ness's. And then last is PK Starstorm, which is opposite for them. Lucas makes a bunch of random falling meteors that go inward, and Ness makes a bunch of random falling meteors that go outward, while Ness's come one at a time and Lucas's all come down at once. I say, have both and have it mix up. The meteors will all come down as they feel like. Some will be individual, some will be in groups, and they'll come inward and outward and all through every direction, making it a very inescapable PK Starstorm. And last, besides Yoshi, Lucas actually has the best second jump in Brawl, with the exception to Ness, so I would also give him Ness's jump to make it a little easier for him to recover. And that really fixes up all of Lucas's shortcomings by just having one really good psychic-using Mother character. Not two that are kind of half-done so that there can be two of them, but one really good one. One that I buffed up and made the best possible Mother character. So that's it for Lucas's moveset. Tune in next time for another character. Hey, this is Pizza Dude Man. Well, we have another request from Sinister Blade 345, and this time it is for Pit. This is going to be a short video. Pit's another character where it's pretty fascinating how they were able to come up with an entire moveset for this one archer. Here he is in Brawl with an entirely invented style for him of dual-wielding swords. Here's the extent of his powers in Kid Icarus games.
Wow, that's pretty good how they're able to make an entire fighting style just using that. Now, as for Pit's special moves, most of them are based off of the sacred treasures of Palutena, and it was pretty clever how they used those. So, between a mix of making up dual-wield sword fighting and using Palutena's treasures, they made a pretty good moveset for Pit. I can't argue with it. It's a good moveset. So the only thing I would change about Pit's fighting style is I would make his smash attacks have more killing potential, because right now that's his only problem. He works the exact same way as Meta Knight, but he can't rack up as much damage as Meta Knight quickly, so the few finisher moves that Pit does have need more killing potential to make up for that. So that's it for Pit's moveset. Tune in next time for another character. Hey, this is Pizza Dude Man. Now we're gonna look at the moveset of the Ice Climbers, suggested by the nerd Ooze? This one's gonna be a really quick video. I didn't change the Ice Climbers majorly, just a few small changes. I made the Ice Climbers, in general, a bit faster than they are, both in running speed and in attack speed, to make their attacks a little more effective. Right now, that's really their only weakness as lightweight characters, is not being able to run very well, despite being such a lightweight. I would also improve their recovery game by making it so that you can use their side B, the Squall Hammer, as effectively with one Ice Climber as you can with two in terms of horizontal recovery. Besides that, though, the Ice Climbers are already considered to be really good characters, especially with their special grabbing techniques that they can perform together. They just need a little more speed in general, and a little more effectiveness in their side B to make them really great characters. Besides that, I think their moveset's good. The only other change I would make is in their final smash, the Iceberg. I would allow them to freely run up and down the Iceberg. They can't do that right now, and it seems a little odd since they are called the Ice Climbers. Plus, it would increase the effectiveness of their final smash. So that's it for the Ice Climbers. Tune in next time for another character.
Hey, this is Pizza Dude Man with the second to last character moveset video. Now, we'll look at the moveset of Rob, as suggested by Gary Doak. 1970. Rob is a pretty cool guy, and he doesn't afraid of anything.
Now, Rob is another Mr. Game & Watch scenario. He's already one of the top-ranked character with really good moves and a really good moveset that they made up for him. And like Mr. Game & Watch, it means I don't have very many improvements for him because he's already so good. All I did was give him a few small buff-ups, like making his smash moves have a little bit more knockback, making it so his side B, the arm rotor, is instantaneous in its spinning so that you can deflect items easier, and made it so that during his final smash, the diffusion beam, he gains a slight speed up so that he's able to track down his opponents. So I guess we'll just keep this one short and simple. That's it for Rob's moveset. Tune in next time for
The last character.
Hey, this is Pizza Dude Man. Now, we're gonna look at the moveset of Mr. Game & Watch, as suggested by my subscriber, Gary Doak 1970. Where do I start with Mr. Game & Watch? It's actually really hard to find anything to change at all. Game & Watch actually has the reputation of being the character to be the most improved between Melee and Brawl, rising from a professional level of number 20 to number 8. That is an extremely high level. His moves are already very unique, and represent the Game & Watch series well, so it's hard to think of anything that he could possibly need improvement on. I wound up only making two very small changes to Mr. Game & Watch. One, his B move, the Chef. I made it more like Yoshi's old up B, the egg toss. So if you press the B button, he releases a sausage out of his frying pan, but you can use the joystick to control where the sausages land in kind of a set path. So it's not just random like it is now, and it's more useful as a projectile move. And the second is to his final smash, the Octopus. I felt like it could use a little improvement, so I made it now so while you use the tentacles rapidly combo hit opponents for high amounts of damage. And that's it for Mr. Game & Watch. Tune in next time for another character. Hey, this is Pizza Dude Man. Now, as suggested by the nerd Uaz, we're going to look at the moveset of Snake. When Snake was announced in Brawl, it was a big deal. It was the first time third-party character had ever been in the game. Now, as far as his moveset and fighting style go, it is simply amazing. Snake's moveset is not only powerful, but it's also very fitting to the Metal Gear games. I can understand wanting to exclude the knife and the guns that are realistic, but with the explosives and the moves they gave him, they actually represent the Metal Gear series quite well. Because of his strong attacks and use of many projectiles, Snake is also, like Meta Knight, classified in a league of his own by professional smashers. For that reason, I don't want to change Snake too much, but I don't feel guilty in giving him two very small nerfs. One, his up tilt, which is like a high kick, needs to be a little smaller in its hitbox. It has a really awkward, large, disjointed hitbox that allows for pretty easy kills. So I would just make it so you have to sweet spot it more closer than to Snake's foot. The other one is very interesting. His up smash, which makes him shoot a rocket upward, is the largest ranged up smash in the game. But that's not the main problem. The main problem is Snake, along with a lot of characters, has an ability where he can do like a dash cancel. It's a very advanced technique that allows you to rush while using a move. And Snake's is the most famous for allowing him to be able to control the entire stage, which is one of the reasons he's so high ranked. Snake can use his up smash to slide around the stage while rapidly shooting rockets upward. It makes it really hard to fight Snake, and I know I've fought against a guy who used this technique. I don't want to get rid of this advanced technique of slide smashing, but Snake's is a little easier to use, so I put it on par with the other characters, and also, just for good measure, make it so that his mortar isn't incredibly higher than other people's up smashes. Now, it's still going to be higher, it's still a ranged move, it's going to go up, but just not as far up as it is in Brawl. So, that's it for Snake's moveset. Tune in next time for another character. Hey, this is Pizza Dude Man, back with another video for my roster. Sorry I haven't come out with a video in a long time, been really busy with tests and stuff, but now it's winter break, and I'm ready to come out with some new videos. Today, we're gonna look at the moveset of Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic was one of the most unexpected and most wanted characters for Brawl. Now, given the time they had to create him, they did a pretty nice job on him, but I still think for the next installment, his moveset could use some improvements. I'm going to start this moveset video with Sonic's B, Side B, and Down B specials. Sonic's B move, the homing attack, I think represents some of his abilities pretty well in what he does in the games, and it's a nice follow-up to any combo you start off with Sonic. Now, I really don't like the idea of Sonic's Side B and Down B right now, because it's the spin dash and the spin dash charge. Shouldn't they just be within the same move? And that's what I decided to do. This spin dash attack just all be part of Sonic's down B, the charging and the going of it, so that we have more room for real new attacks. So now if both the spin dash and the spin dash charge are part of Sonic's down B, that means we need a new side B, and I think I got an idea of what that should be. The Sonic Boom from the Sonic Rival series, Sonic's signature attack in the game, and one that's been around in most of the Sonic games. Even if it wasn't the Sonic Boom attack, there's been a lot of Sonic games where he has the light speed attack or the light speed dash, and that accurately represents some of Sonic's abilities. Basically, you just press side B and Sonic would get a big burst of energy and burst forward. The faster you're running before you use the move, the further you'll go. So if you're close to an edge, you might have a chance of falling off, like if you're using Fox's side B. But the faster you're going, the more damage you'll do to your opponents. Like, if you're just standing there and you use the move, you just make them trip up a bit. But if you're going at full speed, you can send them flying. Now, I did also replace Sonic's Up B, not because I didn't like the spring, but because Sonic's a big video game character and I think he has other abilities that could suit him better. For Sonic's Up B, I chose the Blue Tornado, a newer ability in newer Sonic games, but one that he uses quite often now. Basically, Sonic will just propel himself upward by running up a tornado, which entraps enemies in a tornado attack. Now, before we move on to Sonic's final smash, I actually made a couple changes also to Sonic's normal A moves. Right now, Sonic's A moves are based off of his fighting style from Sonic the Fighters, which is fine, but I think it could stand to have a little more variety into the mix. I'm of course referring to Sonic's fighting style in Sonic Battle, where besides just the traditional Sonic spin attacks, he incorporates some very interesting kick moves, including break dances, heel drops, and some other interesting spin kicks. I think incorporating some of these moves into his Smash fighting style would spice up some of the variety. Now we have Sonic's final Smash, Super Sonic, which I actually nerfed a little bit. I mean, with Sonic's final Smash, if you knew how to use it well, you could kill people multiple times over the duration that you could use the move, so I changed it up a little bit. Now, when you're Super Sonic in an actual Sonic game, you can't just run into your opponents and do damage to them. Sonic has to do kind of like a Sonic Boom burst of energy with aura around him. So I guess that's the only thing I would change. You can fly around at top speed, but in order to hurt your opponents, you have to press a button in which Sonic gains this aura and then dives into them. That way, it at least incorporates a little bit of player input in order to use the final Smash. Well, that's it for Sonic. Tune in next time when we'll talk about another character moveset. See you then!